Scientists in Oklahoma are one step closer to finding possible evidence of mass graves linked to one of the worst incidents of racial violence in our country's history. Researchers in Tulsa used ground-penetrating radar to survey 3 sites. They found irregularities at 2 of those sites that could be consistent with large-scale burials. Omar Villafrana is in Tulsa. Omar, this could ultimately uncover a new chapter in American history that most people have never, ever heard of. Good morning to you.
You're right. Good morning. You're right. And not just black history. You're right. This is American history. This is the Greenwood neighborhood, also known as Black Wall Street. You had tailors, banks, grocery stores, tax services, all black-owned businesses. But in 1921, a white mob burned it to the ground, and as many as 300 black residents were killed. That's what's depicted there on the letter K. History had basically almost forgotten about this, but the city of Tulsa is digging up the past and trying to heal old wounds. This was all part of the Greenwood area.
Yes, the building sat where his parking lot was.
Photojournalist Kevin Ross says he's grateful that a tragic, little-known part of Tulsa history is now coming to light.
For decades, it was hush-hush. Even some of the survivors that I interviewed, they were quiet and telling, oh, and the white people did this. They whispered in their own homes because they were brought up not talking about what happened.
It happened on these streets in 1921. Much of the Tulsa neighborhood of Greenwood was burned to the ground by a white mob. The group clashed with several armed black men who had gathered to protect a black shoeshiner who was unjustly accused of assaulting a white woman. After a shot was fired, violence broke out, and hundreds of black people were massacred. Ross's great-grandfather was forced to flee the city after his business was destroyed.
You had explosions, you had people running for their lives. It was just hell on earth.
The horror was brought to life in the premiere episode of HBO's new series, Watchmen. Witnesses reported seeing bodies put in mass graves, but local officials hid evidence of any crimes.
Along the fence line.
At a public forum Monday, scientists confirmed they discovered what appears to be an underground pit, roughly 30 by 25 feet, which they say is large enough to bury up to 100 bodies.
But I'm as confident as I can be in the results that this is a very good candidate for something associated with the massacre.
G.T. Bynum is Tulsa's mayor.
It's very powerful. It's the first time that we've had anyone say that from a technical standpoint in an open forum in a meeting like this or to us.
Scientists are now planning to do additional surveys that could lead to excavations.
We don't know what the preservation will be like. And even if the preservation is truly excellent, we don't know who we'll find in there.
How soon would you like to see excavation?
I would like to see excavation by the spring. You know, we waited this long. We know where they are. Let's go get them.
The city wants to continue scanning early next year. Now, to give you a little bit more perspective, 35 blocks were burned to the ground. One of the few things that survived that massacre was the basement of this church here. Everything you see above ground was built afterwards. And church leaders in this community say if remains are found, they want them relocated here to the Black Wall Street area, and they want to build a memorial. Tony?
Well, that'd be appropriate. Omar, thank you very much. You know, this was deliberately kept out of textbooks for years. So what's happening now is a powerful reckoning in history.
An important piece of history that should not be forgotten.
Exactly. It's a stunning story. I only heard about it 10 years ago, and I was embarrassed that I'd never heard it. Either of you?
I only heard about it last year.
It's funny. I spoke to a friend of mine a couple years ago had said, you all should really look into doing a piece on Black Wall Street, because it is something that you don't necessarily hear a lot about.